Hello and welcome to Aspen Affairs, the public affairs show from the Aspen Chamber Resort Association. I'm your host, Debbie Braun, President and CEO of ACRA. You're watching Election 2024, Informed, Empowered, our series on the fall election where we highlight voter resources. We're going to share key election information and break down issues you'll find on the ballot. You can learn more and watch all the episodes online at aspenchamber.org/elections. Today's guest is Pitkin County Commissioner Francie. Come on, Francie, how many times are we going to say it? Francie's a commissioner with Pitkin County, and we're here to talk some ballot initiatives, if that's okay with you.
Sounds good.
Okay, well, wonderful. Thank you for joining us. You traveled to Washington, D.C. this year and met with senior officials from the Federal Aviation Administration to speak about our airport. You wrote about this meeting in an op-ed published in our papers called The Word from Washington. Can you summarize what you learned at that meeting?
Yes, I can. So we went in there with the intention of talking to the FAA about keeping the current modification of standards. That means the ability to keep the separation between our runways at 320 feet and keep the current runway width. So that was our goal, and we also wanted to talk to them about environmental improvements in aviation in general, and specifically at our airport. They, without any doubt, told us we cannot continue to have our modification of standards. That means that we need to comply with FAA safety standards or we will lose funding for the airport. They were very clear. I asked them 3 times to be very specific about this, and they were very clear. No more funds for the airport until we comply with their standards.
Okay. Well, in order to maintain the funding and partnership with the FAA, the safety measures listed in the airport layout plan have to be carried out. This includes changes to the runway that would allow a larger wingspan aircraft to land. Opponents who don't want larger aircraft have said that we don't need the FAA money and that the county could take the airport regulations and operations in-house. What did you guys learn about a county-funded airport?
So we've done some comparisons with the Jackson Hole Airport, and Jackson Hole's income after all of their expenses and their assumption of all the risks associated with running an airport and the staffing that they needed to do and the housing for their staffing, their income was $5 million. Our contract with Atlantic Aviation, with their running our fixed base operation, is $19 million a year. However, the opposition to our improvements at the airport have said that $19 million a year is enough to fund our runway, our rebuilding of the runway, and our new terminal. That is not true. Our bonding council has told us that with the $19 million a year, we're only eligible for revenue bonding, which means income from the airport for the airport, and our limit on that bonding is 110 million about, and that's all we can bond for. So if we have a runway rebuild at the cost of 120 million, we have no more money for any other improvements in the airport, much less running the airport. So we cannot afford to fund our runway repair or a new terminal ourselves.
It sounds pretty complicated. What I'm trying to figure out is when people come to you and say that they're confused and they don't know how to vote, how do you kind of walk them through the options? Because I get that a lot too. A lot of the members will call and say, gosh, everybody's putting out all this information. It's really hard for me to sift through it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think there's 2 points that need to be clarified. One, the county cannot afford even to do our rebuild of the runway. The runway's deteriorating. We need to fix it right away. The FAA has already withdrawn funding, so our patch repairs for this year, we have to pay for ourselves. It's around $12 million. Otherwise, the FAA would be paying for it. So when we do build our runway, if we are compliant, they will pay 90% of the rebuild costs. So the first one is we can't afford to do it without the FAA. And the second complaint that I hear is that bigger planes are not wanted in this community. However, all of aircraft is going to wider wingspans. It's more efficient, and it makes planes that are quieter. So we don't really have any control over what aircraft are going to be flown by the airlines, but we have reliable and verified information that the new aircraft will have wider wingspans. However, they'll also be built of more lightweight material. So even though the wingspans are larger, they are not necessarily heavier, bulkier planes. They make less noise, and they use less fuel, and they put out fewer emissions.
Yeah, we sent out a survey to our members and got quite a robust response, and safety was the number one issue. And I would think reconfiguring the runway, most of the pilots I've talked to, funny enough, a few, said, boy, they really, many times in emergency situations, they would like a little bit wider, longer runway for safety. So that is really the number one concern for members. The number two concern was reliability of service. So I think that with this not knowing when the runway could crumble at any given moment, that's not very reliable. And, Aspen's been a leader in so many things throughout my 25 career. I always think that you shouldn't bet against innovation and you shouldn't bet against technology. And it seems like there's a lot better technology out there today. So I really do applaud the efforts of the Visioning Committee, also the county commissioners who have had to make some bold moves in order to continue to get our ALP approved and moving forward. So I just want to thank you. And you have the full support of the ACRA board as they have come out with resolutions on supporting the county's question on the ballot. But that's not the only question on the ballot this year.
But we appreciate that support. Thank you, Debbie.
Yes, absolutely. You've actually placed two other questions on the ballot for the fall. Can you just walk us through what each of those are and what impact they're going to have on the locals?
Yes, I will. The first one is very clear. Well, it's actually the second one, it's 1B, is about the landfill. And it's actually not costing us anything, but it is ensuring that we can make the improvements at the landfill that will make it a viable landfill for 70 years. It won't cost the taxpayers anything more. It's really about just making it possible to make those improvements. I don't think there's any issue about that one. The other one is 1A, that's the affordable housing ballot measure. And I had a full-page ad in the paper last week before last, that explained the numbers that are going on in terms of housing needs in the county. We have employees who can't afford to live up valley. We all understand how insanely expensive property and housing and rentals are right now. So most of our employees are moving down valley, or they are coming from down valley. And the average rent in Carbondale right now is $4,000 a month. And in Glenwood, it's like $3,600. So in order to support that kind of rent, you have to have an income of about $120,000. And most of our service workers don't have that kind of income.
Right.
And at that level, they're still using 50% of their income for rent. That's not tenable. So I really believe that we need to find a way to fund mechanisms for affordable housing on a consistent basis. So that is why we're putting this on the ballot. It will yield about $8 million a year, which we will then levy with partners, or use as a lever with partners to make successful projects together.
Yeah, one of the reasons we supported that as well is because some of that language talked about businesses and helping them get housing or building housing for their employees as well. So we really respect that. And I think it's really important that the county is putting money towards this. You haven't before, I understand. So to have a little war chest is really amazing. And I hope everybody gets out and supports that ballot initiative as well.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so you're running this year for election to serve a second term on the Board of County Commissioners. Can you give me maybe your 60-second pitch, sort of what you've learned in your first term and why you decided to run again? Because public office is not for the faint of heart. So where's the joy in that?
Okay. Well, I love the job. I really like working for the people of Pitkin County, and my platform is based basically on three principles: agriculture and conservation, community, and the environment. And so I do take quite a bit of joy in working in each of those areas. In agriculture and conservation, it's not on the ballot this year, but I hope we continue to conserve land. We have a very generous tax base. Our taxpayers have voted for open space and trails, and with that, we've conserved 24,000 acres of agricultural and open spaces. So I hope we continue to do that. So that's one of my primary goals, because once land is developed, it's over. We can't go back.
Right.
My second one is community. Although we are a wealthy community, we do have people who need support and assistance in our community. And we have a very generous Health and Human Services Department. We go way beyond what's mandated by the state in terms of taking care of our population. So I also want to continue to support that. And affordable housing is part of the community push. And then the third one is the environment. I know everybody knows we have a very aggressive climate action plan. We're beginning to look at revamping all of our building codes and land use codes. And those are mechanisms through which we can control growth, control oversized buildings, reduce our buildings' impact on the environment, and then I hope at some point we're going to look at traffic in the valley.
Well, I think that's very noble, and it's been really a pleasure to get to know you over the last few years and the work that you've been doing with Pitkin County. I wish you the best of luck. Thank you for watching this episode of Aspen Affairs, Election 2024, Informed, Empowered. I'm Debbie Braun, the president of the Aspen Chamber, and again, get out and vote, everyone. It's really important, not only on a national level, but on a local level as well. There are some really important ballot initiatives that are coming forward in our community, and we could use all the support. And it would be nice not to be so divisive, but to bring the whole community together under some really great projects. So thank you for watching this edition, and we've got more shows to come this month, so have a great day.
Thanks, Debbie.
Thanks.